Hey, welcome back to Adam's Brick Reviews. Today I'm going to show you how to build the BlockTech brand block art. This one is the Beach Shoreline. And it's 126 pieces. I got this at Five Below for, I think it was only $5. I don't know. I bought a ton of sets the day I went there. But I'm going to show you how to build this, and it's really cool once it's done. Okay, here are the parts that you need for step one. If you need more time to look at them, you can pause the video, but I'm just going to get building. So first thing, find the one of the 1x8s that has writing on it, because we want to make sure we hide that. So you're going to just take it, and on the fourth spot in, put the top corner of this blue piece, just like that. Directly under it, put one of the big black ones, directly under that, the 2x8 black ones, and then you're just going to match them up on the other side. So the 1x8 will go with the 1x8, the 4x8 will go with the 4x8, and the 2x8 will go with the 2x8, just like that. Now I will say these don't snap in very well, so make sure you get them nice and tight, because that is the base for your entire thing. But that is it for step one. Let's move on to step two. Okay, here are the parts for step two. So let's start by taking one of the, what is this, 4x6? One of the 4x6 blues, and it's going to butt up right next to this. So you'll notice it hangs over by one. And then the other side will also get it butted up right against, and you'll have one open stud on the right. Yeah, push down. Take your 2x4 and hook it underneath on the top left there, and the 2x3 directly under it. So that's what you have at the end of step two. Let's move on to step three. Okay, parts for step three. Let's start building. So we're going to take the shortest ones of these flat tiles, and we're going to put those in the back on both sides. Then take the next size and put it directly in front of that, so that whole side will be covered with tiles. And then you're going to take the long ones, and they're going to just kind of go between in the front. You're just making a nice border for your display. That is it for step three. Now let's do step four. Okay, these are the parts for step four. Let's start with one of the 2x4s, and it's going to go in this very front corner right there. Directly behind it, take the smaller of this little wedgie shape and just put it right there. Take the other 2x4, and it's going to go up and down in that position. Next to that, you're going to do the big wedge, and it's going to line up with the top, and then right under that, the 1x6. That's it for step four. Let's move on to step five. Okay, here are the parts for step five. Fairly simple. Take your 4x4. It's going to go in the very front, one block in. So you'll have these three open studs, and then this will go just right next to it, like that. That's it for step five. Let's move on to step six. Okay, here are the parts for step six. First, take the smaller of the wedge, or the only wedge things in this case, put it there, and then you'll see you have one stud there. This will actually go right next to it. So right there, and go all the way to the edge. Then you're going to take four of these little things, which are the jumpers, and they're going to go on the 4x4 here, that direction. One there, and then one in front of each of those. So just like that. And that's it for step six. Let's move on to step seven. Okay, here are the parts for step seven. So what we want to do, we're going to do this twice. We're going to take two of these little barrel shaped things, put them together, and then one of the cones will go right on top. Just like that. Like that, we're going to do that twice. So let's do that again. If we can stop my pieces from rolling away from me. Come back. Okay, and then they're going to go, still working on this 4x4 down here. They're going to go in the two back corners of it. So you'll have these two in the middle that are open, and these will be there and there. That is it for step seven. Let's move on to step eight. Okay, here are the parts for step 8. Let's start by taking your two little arches, put them together, take the jumper and put it across the middle of both of them, and that'll just kind of hold it together for you. And then you take these corner pieces and put them on so the solid part is facing out on both of these sides. And you're gonna do that for each corner. And I'm gonna make my build fall apart. It's hard to build this piece while I'm holding it in the air, but there's that. That is it for step 8. Let's move on to step 9. Okay, this is all the parts for step 9. All we're doing is making a flag for this thing, so just slide that right in there and hook it to the top of the sandcastle. And then the sandcastle, these 4 holes are going to go on the jumper holes here, just like that. So that is it for step 10. Yeah, apparently I missed one, because step 9 is making the flag, step 10 is actually attaching it. So 9 and 10 are together. Let's move on to step 11. Okay, here are the parts for step 11. We're just doing the same thing as we did before, the 2 barrel shapes with the cone. I'm doing it twice again, 2 barrel shapes with a cone. And you can guess where these are going. It's the front corners. There and there. So that is the end of step 11. That is the entire base completed. Looks pretty cool. I like the sandcastle. Now let's start on the background. Okay, here are the parts for step 12. Now I'm not going to follow the instructions exactly if you are following along, because it has you kind of build it in pieces and then put it together, which I'm going to start doing because it's these separate pieces, but then I'm going to actually just keep adding on to it as I go. So you're going to take your 1 by 8 and a 1 by 6, put the 1 by 6 put the 1 by 6 all the way on the edge, snap it together just like that. Then you're going to take your 1 by 4 and put it on top right there. Take your other 1 by 8 and put it under it, and then another 1 by 6. We'll finish that off like that. And then you're going to take the 2 1 by 8s and run them all the way across the top of it. Just like that. That's it for step 12. Let's move on to step 13. Okay, here are the parts for step 13. Let's start by taking the 1 by 3 taller one, hook it all the way in the end. Next to that, you're going to take the longer of the blue tall ones, and then the shorter of the blue tall ones on the end. Just like that. And then up next, you will take your 1 by 6 white plate and put it all the way in the end. And then the 1 by 4 right next to that. And the 1 by 6 next to that. So that is it for step 13. Let's move on to step 14. Okay, here are all the parts for step 14. Let's get started. So take your 1 by 3 blue, put it all the way on the right. Next to that, you have a 1 by 3 white, followed by a 1 by 4 blue, a 1 by 2 white, a little 1 by 1 square blue, and then the 1 by 3 white. So that's where we are at the end of step 14. Let's move on to step 15. Okay, here's the parts for step 15. So let's start by taking the 1 by 3 white brick and put it all the way in the right. And then the 1 by 4 blue brick, put it right next to it. A 1 by 4 white brick, 1 by 2 blue brick, and 1 by 3 white brick. That is it for step 15. Now let's move on to step 16. Okay, here are the parts for step 16. So let's start with the 1 by 6 blue and put it all the way on the right. And then a 1 by 4 white and a 1 by 6 white. So we have that. And then the next row, we're going to put the 1 by 4 blue all the way on the right. And then we'll do this 1x8 white, so the big one right next to it, and then the little 1x4 white on this end. So that is it for step 16. Now let's do step 17. Okay, here are all the parts for step 17. So let's take your 1x8 brick in blue, put it all the way on the right. You take another one for the left, and then you want the two 1x4s on the outside and the 1x8 on the inside. So it'll just go here. One by 8, 1x4. Okay, that is it for step 17. Now let's move on to step 18 and actually get into a new color. There we go, we finally have a new color. Let's start with the white though. We take our 1x6 all the way on the right, 1x4, and another 1x6. And then we can start with the blue. So on the far right, we have a 1x3. Then we have this 1x2 brick with a hole in it. And then the long one, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 1x8, and then a 1x3 to finish off that step. So that is it for step 18. Let's move on to step 19. Okay, here are the parts for step 19. Let's go ahead and get building. We're going to take the 1x6 white, put it all the way on the right. 1x4 white right next to it. 1x6 white down here. So that whole strip is white. And then we're going to take the 1x4 blue, put it up here. And then the longer blue, which should be 8, 1x8. And then a 1x4 blue on the way in the end. So that is it for step 19. Now let's move on to step 20, which is a little different. Okay, here are the parts for step 20. I'm gonna go ahead and get started building. And what we're building here is actually, I think it's supposed to be a bird. We use these horns, and I think it's supposed to be like a seagull or a pelican or something flying over the ocean, since this is a beach scene. But I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't really explain it. Oops. Not the piece I want to drop and loose. I would never find it if it got out of sight. That'll go there, and then this actually will just get shoved into here. So these should turn a little bit so it can go in. And that goes right there into the wall. So I'm thinking it's like a pelican. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. That is it for step 20 though. Let's move on to step 21. Okay, here are all the parts for step 21. First thing, take your 1x8 lighter blue bricks, and you're gonna put one on the left, one on the right. And then you're gonna take your darker blues. You want your 1x4s on both ends and your 1x8 in the middle. And then above that, we want the 1x4 whites on the end with the 1x8 white in the middle. So that, and that. So there we are at the end of step 22. Let's move on to step 23. Okay, here are the parts for step 23. Let's start by taking this 1x4 brick and popping it all the way on the right. Let's then put a 1x1 brick right next to it. Then we're going to take this one here with the studs on the front, and we're going to stack 2 of these on top of them. Just like that. And put that there next to it. And then the 1x1, and then the 1x8. So there it is, step 23. Let's move on to step 24. Okay, here are the parts for step 24. We're just gonna take the 1x3 on the end, the really big one, which it should be 10, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 1x10 in the middle, 1x3 on the other side. That's it for step 24. Now let's do step 25. Okay, there are all the parts for step 25. Let's go ahead and assemble them. So they're really just both these flat things. They will just go right here. If I can get it to go on, there we go. And then the sun, which will just hook onto those two studs that were sticking out the front there. And that is it for step 25. Step 26, step 27, and step 28 are all just attaching everything to each other. Already did all of that except for step 28, which is putting this down here. If I can get to snap on right there. So there's the complete build. And then there is also this crab. Doesn't really tell you where to put it, so I'm just going to toss it in the water there and put this up on my shelf for display. If you found this helpful, make sure you like this video, subscribe so you don't miss more videos, and have a great day.